Cameron Show. So we got a town hall tonight, huh, Tom? That's what's going on? Big town hall?
We have a town hall. Well, there will be, 30 seconds for, 30 seconds against. No, it's just, it'll be a fun back and forth Q&A with the CEO of Seminole Boosters, CEO and president of Seminole Boosters, Stephen Ponder. A lot of things happening for the Boosters. We actually meant to do this last month, but, the news cycle kept on getting filled with transfers, and then there was a lawsuits, and that continues to go. Then Mike Norvell's job future was in question. So now that things have settled down, it's a Q&A for the folks at warchant.com in the message boards, and then also on the chat to ask some questions from Stephen Ponder. He's a fun guy. Looking forward to talking to him.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a good thing, and that it's going on tonight, and I think people will be very, very interested. So I thought I would mention that. And then later, don't let me forget, Tom, we got to talk about the big cows and the throwing of hay and the scotch and all the good that is available to you this weekend. That may sound weird too, but I'll explain in a bit.
Well, you are one to enjoy a good festival, and I think a Scottish festival is near and dear to your heart and your bloodline, right? So that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I went to Scotland and checked out the Cameron Clan Castle and did a lot of other cool stuff like that. Brought home the tartan, buddy. I could sport it if I wanted to this weekend, although I'm going to be out of town this weekend, so I won't be here.
So I had learned that there is a blessing of the tartans. It's a tradition that goes back to the olden days when the English had invaded, taken over, and they banned the tartans because that was different, and different wasn't cool.
I didn't like it. No, the English.
So the Scots used to go to mass, go to their church service, and hide a little piece of their tartan in a pocket, and then they would present it to the priest, and he would bless it. So that way they would keep their tradition going. Wow. I learned that today. There you go.
That was a good phone call. Most work calls suck. How about that? That's a damn fine work call is what that is. I'm checking the weather out in California because I've got wagers. I need to have a winning week. I feel strong about some of the selections out here today, and I'm checking my points on DraftKings and in my local illegal gambling pool. So this is a big day. I'll give you some of those numbers you can get in late. I should have maybe mentioned this yesterday before the tournament began. But you know what? It's funny. I want to bring this up because people have responded to it, and I understood. I told you this earlier today when I went out to Safe Flight out in Midway and sat there for 2.5 hours. Yeah, that's a toughie, buddy. That's not a lobby of thinkers. You're not going to get much there at the Safe Flight lobby. Anyhow, so
Safe Flight repairs, Safe Flight, you'll wait.
I don't have a problem with the work. The work wasn't shoddy. They did a good job. I'm not besmirching the work that they did. It's just that's a toughie. Anyhow, so I saw last night I tweeted that when I saw that Hafley had gone to the NFL and left his post as head coach of Boston College, I tweeted that is a job that Adam Fuller would be very, very interested in. And I knew after I typed it out, right before hitting send, Tom, I thought people are going to read into this. They're going to read into this. They're going to say, they're going to make it think, they're going to think that I want him to take that job, or that I'm lobbying for him to take that job, that I'm trying to create momentum for him to get that job. I don't think I wield that much authority, but people are going to see into this and they're going to think that. And really, that's not my intention. I just tweeted that because I believe it to be true. Now, I'm not naive. I knew how it would be taken. And it was taken that way, by the way. It was, and you told me when you saw it that you thought the same thing.
My first reaction was, geez, okay. That quote unquote. It was damn near Mr. Garrison's, oh, jeez.
So, I ended up realizing by people's reaction that, they thought that I was trying to run them out of town. And I wasn't. But it's funny how people read into that. But it does make sense. That's a perfect job for him. And I had a bunch of people say, why would you take that job? It's a dead-end job. Why would you take it? I don't know, because if you got the opportunity to become a head coach in a region of the country that you know and love, it's the opportunity to be a head coach. You'd make more money too. And so A lot of guys take jobs that are not going to be the job you stay at for life in all likelihood. There are stepping stone jobs. If you and by the way you view success at Boston College is very different. So if you look there at just be bowl eligible, go to a bowl, you're a successful coach. If you go 6-6 every year, 7-5 maybe, you're going to keep your job for a good long while at Boston College. And you would do a good job. Let's say you did a good job and you got to bowls 3 out of every 4 years, 7-5, whatever it was. Then that, people would be like, hey, maybe we should look at him for a better job. You could parlay it. You wouldn't even have to be a dominant, because you can't get kids there that are going to allow you to dominate. So that's all I was saying. I don't think he's going to take the job. But I could see where he would want it, where he would be interested in the job. I think if they called, he'd answer the damn phone.
Well, he's certainly very interested in that region of the country. I mean, where you hail from, and he hails from there, it's an alluring thing. I mean, he talks about times he's been in the Northeast proudly. I wonder about the viability of that job in this sense. Is the ACC going to exist as we know it in the next 2 or 3 years? Is that better for you or worse that it exists or it doesn't? And, that's an athletic department where you've got to overcome an awful lot. Steve Adazio told you that when you asked him, what's it like to coach at a place? What's it like to coach at a place that doesn't prioritize football? What do you think about that? And
that was one of my first questions, and you were like, ooh.
Well, and the other part of it was, and this makes total sense to me, that Hafley took a lifeline to go to the NFL. I think he wanted to do that anyway.
Yes.
Because 2 years ago when I was at ACC Kickoff and he was taking questions about why leave the Ohio State situation for this job? Why go there? And his answer basically was, I hate big-time college football recruiting. Now, that was before the transfer portal became what it is. That's before NIL became what it is. I'm sure he was so sick, tired, and over it that the first chance he got to be a coordinator at the NFL, if you're a good coordinator at the NFL level and you're hopping on a hot team right now in Green Bay, you're on the short list for head coaching candidates at the NFL level. It's a smart move and one that makes total sense. Hafley never really wanted to be in college, I don't think, as a head coach.
I'll do you one better. That's the vast majority of people coaching in college. Under the current situation with unlimited transfers and all of the other things that have been added to the laundry list of things you already have to do as a head coach, as a coordinator, any of it, I think that a lot of people, if given the lifeline, as you called it, to an NFL job, which pays well and you only worry about the football. That's it. That's all. Guys sign deals. They're going to be there. You don't have to re-recruit him tomorrow and the next day and the next day. You sign a free agent. He's on your team. He ain't going anywhere. So I just think that that's the future, that you're going to see a ton of guys look to take what would seem even lateral movements or even a step back in the eyes of the ranking of position, right? So you're a head coach here and you're a passing coordinator here. You left a head coaching job in college to take over the passing coordinator job with the Cincinnati Bengals? I did. Yes, I did. I'm tired of recruiting. I'm tired of losing my roster every day. I'm tired of this nonsense. I can't deal with it. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm taking it to the league. You're going to see a lot of people do that. Until there is probably changes, that's part of it. Now, the other part of that is the guys who do, I think, stick around, let's say like Mike Norvell, you've got to be young and enthusiastic about every aspect, including embracing the parts of the job that you don't like. It just doesn't do you any good to dwell on things that bother you about a $10 million a year job. Just go do it. Just and attack it. And then we've had this conversation about recruiting before. There are plenty of coaches who privately would tell you off the record that that's not their favorite aspect of the job, recruiting. Kowtowing to 16-year-old kids and, watching them play 3-card Monte with your hat on signing day and all that nonsense. It's not fun. But the ones that are good at it attack it like they would a game plan. And they try to put in place those things that allow them to succeed, obviously, and they look at it tactically. Like that is the kind of the way they go about it, and you have to. So if you're going to survive in today's climate, it's more of that. It's all the things I just said times 1,000 now. You have to embrace chaos every day and be able to roll with the punches.
You do. I think if you're in a position like Mike Norvell, or you're a fast riser in this industry, let's say you're good at recruiting. Like maybe you don't like it, but you're really good at it, and it's what gives you a leg up on the competition. The way you structure your recruiting plan, the way you form relationships, it's like one of your calling cards. I think you're at least going to wait another 2 or 3 years to see how this all shakes out in the courts with the NCAA, perhaps the television networks. Whatever reorganization is coming to the rules and commitment levels and transfer requirements. Like if I'm Mike Norvell, and let's just say behind closed doors, even though I'm making $10 million a year, I'm thinking there's a shelf life on this. I don't know that I can do this much longer. I still think you're going to wait a couple of years because, every day you're reading something new, either in the courts with a lawsuit against the NCAA, or the NCAA itself releases a brand new ruling about transfers, or the television networks are doing this, or perhaps there's conference realignment coming over here. It feels like we are in the middle of the metamorphosis of what we did 10 years ago and what we're going to know like 5 years from now. Like I feel like we're in that part where there's a lot of change coming. So if I'm Mike, or if I'm a hot coordinator who, again, is really good on the trail, I might go through hell for another year or two before I make a decision. Hafley was over it and done with it, but if I'm one of those other guys, I might just hang on a minute.
He was over it and done with it, but also at a place where what he did was about as what you could do. Like that, they went to a bowl, they won their bowl game. They went 7-6 or whatever the hell they did, and that's about what you can do. So, if that's the best you can hope for and you're dealing with all this nonsense, you're going to listen. Norvell's in an awesome situation. Making $10 million plus a year doesn't suck for starters. It's easier to be a lot more patient, when you're making that kind of money. You can wake up at 4 a.m. every day and work until 10 o'clock at night every day and have to do all of these unpleasant things. And then, right in the middle of that, right when you're about to complain, you'd be like, holy hell, in about 5 years, if I want to walk, hell, in 2 years, if I want to walk, I don't ever have to work again. And I'm 42. It's going to be all right. So you'd have to remind yourself of that.
I'm making about $850,000 a month. $850,000 a month.
You could even visit the Maldives on that kind of money, Tom.
So my question is not about Adam Fuller going to Chestnut Hill. It's about, could Adam Fuller appeal to kids from Chestnut Hill that are BC men in the trenches that perhaps are looking at their options now?
Well, buddy, I'm telling you, I think that's, to me, that is the perfect job for him. I don't know that he's a candidate. I don't know that he wants the job. It seems to me he would be interested in that job, and I think it's a fair assessment on my part.
Yeah, it's a match, but I'm saying that perhaps there are some BC men that are Northeastern bred that are going to enter the portal, and perhaps Adam would be really attuned to their sensibilities as they're looking at their options. If they've got another one of those interior offensive linemen or the trenches, man, maybe an inline tight end. I don't know, something like that. It feels like BC might be fitting that particular part of the shopping list, should those kids want to open up their options.
Funny part is you can find a linebacker most years from there, and where you're like, look at that, another very good linebacker who happens to be of Polish descent. There he is. That's amazing. They've had 40 of those guys.
Well, what do you know? They got a center named O'Shaughnessy. He's got red hair and he's mean.
Yeah. But over the years, they have had plenty of very talented offensive linemen, except for, let's think back to a couple of seasons ago where if we thought we had it bad, Tom, that entire offensive line was decimated by injury, and they were using defensive tackles on the offensive line. And I was thinking to myself, that can't be fun. No fun to go to work when you're like, man, I got a guy that's never played offensive line starting for me at tackle this weekend. This is a long day. We got Clemson. This is going to suck, and that was it's funny to watch it from afar. When it happened to Wake Forest, it was funny, but it's not funny when it's your offensive line that's hurt, because you can't do anything It's the most frustrating thing in the world. And then people are irrational when they watch offense. People already hate offensive lines. Like, very few people that you talk to that are fans of a team think their offensive line's any good. They could lead the nation in rushing. And if you took a random mic and put it in front of the fan base and said, how do you think your offensive line has played this year? Like, we thought they were going to be so much better. You lead the league in rushing. And not just that, 7.4 yards per carry. Yeah, but, that's really inflated. There's a few games where they really succeeded. That's mainly inflated. Like, nobody thinks their offensive line is any good. I can't remember the last time I heard somebody say, man, our offensive line is just an ass kicker. Look at this offensive line. It's incredible. You don't see maybe the 92 Cowboys?
Maybe the Miami game last year in 22 for Florida State, or you know what, the best offensive line performance I've seen, and it was a sad day, but it was the Rose Bowl, 14-15. What they did to Oregon's defensive line was, subhuman. It was ridiculous. Yeah. Dalvin Cook had 6 feet in width on almost every carry. Problem was, he didn't take the ball with him often enough. That was absurd with it. And that was that year when you moved Big Rod Johnson into left tackle and Cam became the center. That O-line was the best of the 29 straight. Like, of that run of 29 straight, that O-line was nasty.
Big Rod Johnson. Big Rod was fun. He's a good player. And then he went downhill.
Yeah.
Like, the best he ever was might have been his first, second, third, fourth, fifth start.
Jimbo said, wait till you see what's next. It's like, no. He got progressively worse, Jimbo. Still mad at you about this. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Tallahassee's 30-year-old funny paper and American Legion Post 13 have joined forces to become Major Morale. The new magazine has 4 more pages of post activities and military information that you probably never knew. But don't worry, it's still as politically correct and newsworthy as always. Okay, it's the same funny stuff, but it's still only available at the sponsors' locations like Keith Lawson Services, Tallahassee Automobile Museum, ABC Flooring, or Krispy Kreme Donuts. The country's best donut place has great different monthly specialty donuts like Ghirardelli, Oreo, Chips Ahoy, and too many more to mention. Sign up online at KrispyKreme.com for exclusive email discounts, or download the app that lets you pile up rewards every time you order ahead. Krispy Kreme, America's favorite donut.
Whidden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Whidden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Whidden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whidden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Whidden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Fasig.
And I'm Dana Brooks of Fasig Brooks Law Offices.
When you're in an accident, traffic cameras can be the best source of evidence to prove who's at fault.
That's why Fasig Brooks has partnered with RoadProof to have access to all their traffic camera footage.
With RoadProof, we can search our network of traffic cameras to find the evidence that could help you win your case.
Call us today to see if we can help find the proof to help you come.
Call us now at 850-777-7777.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yeah.
You got one of those new cars that keeps you in the lane when you're driving or slams on the brakes if you get too close to another car?
No, I don't like that fancy technology stuff.
A lot of people don't. It's called lane departure warning and forward collision alert. And all that fancy stuff is attached to your windshield. So if it gets damaged, you need a qualified company like Seminole Auto Glass to replace and recalibrate your windshield. But don't call your insurance company. Just go to SeminoleAutoglass.com and upload your insurance card. Hey, Jimmy.
What?
Did you know that Teslas come with a unique new car smell? They call it Elon Musk.
Oh.
Better call Seminole.
If you've been waiting for the perfect time to buy your new house, you'll be waiting forever. This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and I have been a mortgage lender for over 20 years. And I can tell you that there is no such thing as perfect timing. So take the first step towards your new home and let me show you what that really looks like. Chances are very high that you'll be very surprised at what I can help you do. When rates go low, prices go high, and that home that you've been eyeballing could be gone. If you're wondering how the drop in interest rates is going to affect your payment, give me a call. I'll be more than happy to show you all of the options available to get you into your new home. And for every single loan that we close for a fellow Knoll, I will personally donate $250 per closing to the Battle's End. Let's do this together, and let's keep climbing. Call me today at 954-369-6171. That's 954-369-6171. Or you can find me online at loansforknolls.com. That's loansforknolls.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 373031.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics.
And I've not been over there since they started construction. I'm eager to see it. Of course, the project, which is obviously it has raised the ire of some, won't be completed until they finish this season, until we get before the 2025 season. And then you'll have more seating options, Tom, and additional climate-controlled club spaces as well, and more amenities as well. That's what you got.
Climate-controlled club spaces, you say?
Well, you think that any of those will be the Cameron Club or the Tom Lang Memorial, as we once rallied for?
As I understand it, I mean, the Lang Memorial Champions Club already is climate controlled. It's just the seats aren't. But you can go into a climate controlled environment if, say, you're up 41-7 and it's in the third quarter in September and it's 107 degrees.
You might do it. You might take advantage of that.
Go to the climate controlled section of the Lang Memorial Club and enjoy a beverage or two, and then watch the game through the glass. The best part of that club, my namesake club, is the outdoor standing rail on the second level.
That is 100% the right thing. It's awesome.
It is. Now, you need to have a plan when you get up there to have one designated person handle the refills. Honestly, the widest bodied person you got needs to be the one that stays, because they can box out the space so person number 2 can go get the refills for the group. But yeah, that's the best spot, because then you have the Jimbotron across the way and you can see the actual regular copy as you're watching the close, tight copy in front of you.
No, Jamie, we are not sacrificing Tom. We just called it that because we wanted it to be built in his honor at one point, and we wanted to get out in front of it. Many years before he died, it would already be named that.
It's a living memorial. Yeah.
That's right. A living memorial. That is correct. And I, of course, am responsible for the paint job on the scoreboard, the Jimbotron, as you called it. But my paint job looks fantastic, as it did over at Hauser when I got some things changed there too. And I've still got more work to do. Now, I wanted to demolish the whole damn stadium. We should rip it down. We should start anew, start fresh. And in order to fund the kind of team that we need, it should be sponsored by whoever is the cable provider at Florida State University. And that's the name of that's one of the names of a plaza area or something right there. And then there you go.
Well, I do think that MetroNet Dick Hauser Stadium does have a nice ring to it. That sounds very of the times. Mike Martin Field at Metronet Dick Hauser Stadium. There you go.
You can do it. I don't want to change Dick Hauser Stadium's name, but you have to incorporate Comcast or however you do it, and or Metronet or whomever is sponsoring for all that. That's what they do at a lot of places in the SEC. You'll see that. And then you create, because out there by the circus, if you had, if you just bulldozed it, as I've said before, and then built over at the intramural fields, we could all walk out of Madison Social with cocktails in hand and roll on over to the baseball game. It would be ideal, right? And then, because I get jealous watching other people watch baseball at other stadiums. Every time it's college baseball and they go to another stadium, like, well, that stadium's better than ours. And ours was once the creme de la creme. It was the one that everybody envied, but we've been passed over. And now passed over can mean like by everybody. Why is their stadium better than ours? Why is Virginia? Like, all these college baseball stadiums are infinitely better than ours? It pisses me off.
Well, you see what they've done over at the softball stadium the last couple of years. They added the one deck. So they added the deck that is above the first baseline. That's where you have all you can eat, all you can care to imbibe. And then now what used to be the berm on the left side, the third baseline down the left field, they completed the deck work there as well. So it's I would say that the softball game day experience exceeds that. I know it's a smaller venue, but it exceeds that in terms of watchability and modern amenities. We got to do better. I'm sure Link Jarrett would agree with you.
He would, and they did some things. They've put lipstick on a pig. They've done some things, and it happens that way. But I think they got to start fresh. Just knowing what I know about the underground and all the problems they've had. I mean, there are some things that are better. They get uncomfortable when I bring this up. It reverberates through the halls, and they get mad. Not Link, but Florida State folks get mad at me. And I'm like, what? I'm not wrong on this. The stadium looks like, hey, let's get together.
It's like
while you're there, can we get the dust off the fans?
That's like when Jimbo would get mad about things that happen in the games. Like, look, coach, you can't close games like you can practices. We see it. Like, we have to comment on what we see. I
used to say it all the time. Like, hey, man, that 3rd and 6 call happened. I'm going to bring it up. It directly led to a turnover, which led to a score, which led to our loss. Let's have a conversation here.
I know you'd like to close the games to the media and the public and then be able to tell us what happened afterwards. But, sorry, we were allowed in.
So more Q&As today from the newcomers at Florida State. And I must say that all in all, I've been very, very pleased with almost everybody that I've seen interviewed, and the thoughtful responses, and what we talked some about yesterday was added to again today, where you have guys describing Florida State as a can't miss destination. And, look, we want to believe that's true, but it bears more weight when players who've been at Alabama and been at LSU and been at Georgia say that. It's exciting. And it's cool that seems to be a kind of a through line, a theme for a lot of these guys, that when they were thinking about leaving their previous school, Florida State was certainly one of the first names that came to top of mind for them, and that they were hearing that in other circles from other players, and then they had seen it with their own eyes during the transformation, where now Florida State's won, as they with 23 games the last 2 years. So that makes me smile, buddy. It's a little bit like when you're watching the draft and like 9 Noles go. It just makes you smile. It's a good sign that your program is doing good things.
Which is what you're about to watch in the NFL draft, which is good. But yeah, I thought among the guys that spoke today, Duro Jaye stuck out to me because he talked about his process of how he exited West Virginia, entered the portal, and then chose Florida State. And he remembered the exact dates. Like that tells you something about a kid's mindset. He said, well, on December the 28th, my dad and I had a discussion. By the time that my name was in the portal, it was the 1st of January. Then I was here so-and-so day. It took me 4 days. Like, I like that. So you've got a cerebral guy who is detail-oriented. And then also towards the end of his talk, he had mentioned how Auburn and Florida State were the 2 key players for his services. But it was the personal touch of Florida State that put him over the top, as well as the fact that what Coach JP had done with Jermaine Johnson and Jared Verse and what he's currently doing now with Patrick Payton was a real eye opener and what he could be potential wise. Man, I love that because that we can talk about that all day.
Yep.
But sometimes the talking points we have somehow, some way don't reach the kids. Like they don't reach them in the high schools, they don't reach them in the portal, and they don't see the obvious. But he was, and he understood that he was coming to a place where you have really good players that were turned out to become better high draft picks. And that's what he believes he is, which was pretty cool.
Well, this all, a success story in the portal like that begets more success stories because you get more at-bats. You get more guys that see that first one, then they decide they want to add to the ledger because they have a clear path now to where they want to go. And there's evidence that it can be done. And so then they go, and now you got 2, and now you got 3, and now you got 4. And it just continues to build on itself. You're hoping that season that they had on the field last year, coupled with the successful, not as good as we had hoped for, and there's room for criticism, but there's also room to note that it's the best class from a high school ranks that Mike Norvell has signed yet. So you have the good with the bad there. It could have been better. And they got to figure out how to close better on a couple of key 5-star kids moving forward. But does that combination of going undefeated last year and then having a top 10-ish class in the high school ranks, does that also see improvement and does that beget future success, as I say the portal successes do? Let's hope, because now you got a marriage of all kinds of goodness. If that happens.
It seems to be, the direction that it's going. It's just the hit rate for these interviews. Sometimes the high school kids can be a little bit shakier because they're scared. They haven't been in that kind of a setting where they're standing at a podium. Like there may have been an announcement, there may have been a signing day ceremony, but there's nothing like being grilled by the media. And I'm not saying it's because we're tough. It's just a very weird setting if you've never been in it before. But I thought BJ Gibson handled himself very well today. There'll be more coming in the next few weeks of the early enrollees who are the freshmen. I'm just very impressed that anytime somebody steps up to the podium, man, they're prepared and they're not talking from a sheet that the coaching staff had presented to them or sports information had presented to them. They're willing to tell their story, but they all have something in common. And that is either directly a chip on the shoulder or an emphasis on, I just want to get to work. Like I'm over this. Can I just go do what I need to do? I love that. That's what this program has been about. And it's a through line now that Mike Norvell has gotten his own players in here. You see that common thread, which is, I just want to go get to work. So they do a really good job of vetting these personality types to make sure that they get guys who come in here and fit, not just in the portal, but in high school as well.
BC Noel asked a question here. It's a good day for a question. Really, February is kind of the month where you have a little bit more loosey-goosey on the regular in terms of topics, because obviously it's quiet right now as we get geared up more and more towards spring practice, and we're just now learning the personalities of these guys and so forth. But people have questions about areas where we can improve, and the offensive line's one. And he says, why can't we develop high school offensive linemen, as Corey said? We've talked a little bit about, I've said before that oddly, I feel like it's an important year for Alex Atkins coming up. Now, it's unfortunate that he's been suspended for a few games. But again, I don't think that'll affect the job status. I don't think it'll affect the way he goes about doing his job. He's able to coach during the week and develop guys. It's weird with Alex because we had a love affair initially with him, and he's a no-nonsense guy. He's great to talk to. He takes ownership of everything to do with the offensive line, so you can ask pointed questions. He's a big guy. He can handle it. He's a big boy. He's not worried about what kind of questions you ask. But I do think it's fair to point out that was not a great year last year for this offensive line. They were one of the weak spots of the team, and we may have missed on a couple of guys there that were. Or miss is not the right word, but they were not what we thought they were going to be. And they had injuries. You're going to want to see a couple of those young guys take a big step forward this year. But I think a couple of guys have a real chance to do that. And so we'll watch very closely, because when you say we can't, I don't agree with that. I think we can. Have we done it as frequently as you'd like to see? Successfully across the board, year to year? No. Can it be done? Yes. And I do think Alex is a good coach, but this will be an important year for him. I really believe that.
The good news is that unlike perhaps some other position groups, namely maybe one. There is a long track record of bringing in blue chip talent on the offensive line, like dudes other teams wanted, and closing the offensive line out of the high school ranks. It could be Monesi ITT this year, Jonathan Daniels. Last year it was Lucas Simmons, and they brought in Andre Otto, who's a 3-star, but
I love.
I think they were looking for the right things there and what they got. And then the year before, they brought in the slew of players, many of which have now since departed, but they were sought after by a lot of other power programs, 4-stars. And it's not like there's a bunch of project players, quote unquote, 3-stars that are coming in. And if everything falls right, this player is going to turn into this. I mean, if they're going down with players that a lot of power programs are interested in. So it's not the same thing. Like, while it's a concern, I don't think it's the same thing where you're saying, well, you're working with no blue chippers. So you're not even giving yourself a fair chance. Like, he's giving himself a chance here. The offensive line is giving themselves a chance.
And I think the offensive line will be better this year. I don't know how it couldn't be, but it better be. And I do think that people will be watching. I mean, the honeymoon's over. Like the, hey, this guy's awesome stage. We'll see. There's a lot of we'll sees going out there now. Like, let's see how this year goes. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Nearly a week after a man and a woman were found dead in a home in Leon County, authorities have released more information on the case. The Leon County Sheriff's Office identified Penny Lucas and John Lucas Jr. as the married couple found shot on Gateshead Circle. LCSO believes Lucas Jr.'s injury was self-inflicted, according to a press release. On January 25th, LCSO said deputies went to the home for a welfare check and discovered the husband and wife inside. While they referred to the case as an apparent domestic homicide and suicide, in the updated release Wednesday, they noted the investigation is ongoing. Khalil Ogilvy is now on trial as he is accused of shooting and killing 22-year-old Michaela Bryant, a FAMU grad student and cheerleader, during what officers describe as a botched drug deal at the Providence Point Apartments on Stuckey Avenue on January 26th of 2022. Ogilvy's trial is expected to last through Friday. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Highs level off around 66 this afternoon under partly cloudy skies, winds out of the south 5 to 10 miles per hour. 45 tonight, cloudy. Highs level off around 69 tomorrow, lots of sunshine. Low 70s Saturday, cooler Sunday with highs in the mid 60s and thunderstorms. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 61 degrees.
Orthopedic pain and injury deserves effective treatment options now, so you feel better fast. Whether you have joint pain that won't subside or an urgent orthopedic injury, we are the specialists to get you back on your feet. And there's only one thing better than fast care: expert care. We believe you deserve both. TOC, only experts. Learn more at teamtoc.com.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of, that nobody would know, and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 90.
going to be around this weekend. It's an opportunity for you to do something fun if you're here in Tallahassee. It is right here in our own backyard, the second annual Tallahassee Highland Games Scottish Festival. 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday at Appalachia Regional Park. Saturday, that's 8:30 a.m. till 8:30 p.m. That's a party. Sunday's 9 to 5. If you're an adult and you want to have a good time, there's scotch tasting, which doesn't suck. If you enjoy the World's Strongest Man competitions, for example, you could have a scotch while watching the Highland Games, which the World's Strongest Man is kind of based on, right? The roots of that. They're holding the national championships for the saber toss. That's a giant log flipping for you guys out there that don't know what that is. You know, if you just think about it, men were destined to do that. Just standing around, you know, it wasn't long before one of us grunted to the other that they could flip a log further than the other.
Yeah, that's the hey guys, let's give the old caber toss a try, and then let's go grab some Atlas stones and run around. See how far we can run.
Yeah, the stone weighs as much as 400 pounds. So that's, you know, for other people to do. And here you go, kids. You get to pet these cows, and they're massive. They're those big Scottish cows, and they're long hair. They're huge. Big dairy cows, right, Tom? I almost called you Bryce.
Yeah. That yes. No to the name. Yes to the cows. Yeah, they're long-haired cows. They are. If you want to do something with either a significant other or your kids, they're adorable. These animals are adorable. So that will be a win for you in and of itself. While you can go get some beer for yourself.
TallyHighlandGames.com. TallyHighlandGames, it's all together, .com to purchase tickets. Get on it. I think we may give some away. I don't know. We might.
We very well might. Maybe you might want to stay tuned next hour. Maybe, just maybe.
Hey, I got a bow to put on a story that we talked about months and months ago because it's awesome. And here you go, Tom. I don't know if you realized we came to a conclusion here. Remember the name Brad Bohannon?
Brad Bohannon. It does ring a bell.
You know why you kind of maybe remember the name Brad Bohannon?
An official? I don't know.
Here you go. On April 28th, 2023, prior to Alabama's baseball game against LSU. Is it coming back to you now?
Yes, the casino and the friend.
Yeah. Mr. Bohannon sent several texts to a bettor that Bohannon knew well. And the electronic messages, as it states in the case here, indicated that an Alabama baseball student athlete, the starting pitcher, for those of us at home, for that night's game against LSU, would not be able to start the contest due to an injury. Bohannon provided that information to the bettor before reporting the starting lineup, and it had a student athlete being replaced as the starting pitcher, and he showed him who instead would be starting. He did this before giving the LSU coaching staff the starting lineup, and Bohannon texted the bettor, and now we know what he texted the bettor. He texted "hammer" in all caps, and then wrote, "Let me know when I can tell LSU. Hurry up. Hammer this," repeatedly. That's good stuff, my man. Way to cost yourself a $500,000 a year job. What was he betting? How much did he stand to win? There are limits on these things, first of all. College baseball bets. Hey, what was he going to win? I'd like to know how much he was able to get down or was trying to get down to supplement his $500,000 a year income by letting this guy at the casino know who the hell was or was not pitching that night against LSU. And as memory serves, they ended up starting a guy that hadn't started for like this first week of the season. Like, the guy hadn't been out there at all. You're just trying to get caught, dumbass.
Hey, Jerry, you know what time it is? It's duffel bag time. Go get the duffel bag. Fill it up with some cash.
Think about that. I mean, there is a series of mistakes made here that guarantees you're going to get caught. But like, I don't know too many people that, I mean, I know some dumb people and they wouldn't do this. This like screams IQ of 72. Like there's no, how do you have your friend fill up a duffel bag, 2 of them, and walk into a casino and then you're texting him? The whole thing is hilarious. Anyhow, he's done.
Excuse me, sir. Are you saying you want to bet the LSU college baseball game for $15,000? And the friend, is not. He's not presentable. He is not presentable. The friend's like,
he's been drinking for 3 days.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
I do. Nothing odd about it at all.
No. Just take the money. Take it.
Just take here. Look, it's in a duffel bag. My man.
I gotta call just take the money. No managers. Just take. Come on. You can do it. Come on.
There's $15,000 in that bag, and there's 15 more where that came from. I wanna bet LSU tonight. I got a strong feeling in this college baseball game that LSU is gonna win against Alabama.
And he has the phone with the obnoxiously loud text tone. So the entire place
he's definitely bet it. Definitely bet it.
He's like, got it. Like he's talking to nobody. Got it. And then he picks up the
that is a fun read. Provision of inside information for sports wagering purposes is what he got caught violating there. And that is an exact text message. Hammer in all caps. The name of the pitcher for Alabama that's not starting is out for sure. Let me know when I can tell LSU, hurry up, hammered. That guy, they thought they were smart. That's my favorite part. That guy was making $500,000 a year, and that's the judgment that he has. Like, that is tough to imagine. That is all-time good. I love it that we get stories like this. Also, it does let a lot of people know, if you think about that story and then the story of Butte, right? Like, you're going to get caught, man. They're not dumb over there. They follow these things closely.
They could have been as dense as Bohannon's friends, man. When your handle says Keishon Butte 1 for DraftKings, like, I mean, what are we doing? Well, hey, Jim, what do you know? We've got a couple of big bets on LSU football from Keishon Butte 1.
On the over for receiving yards and touchdown receptions.
For Keishon Butte, the receiver, they were placed in Baton Rouge. Judging by the IP address, it looks like perhaps the athletic facility at LSU. Should we flag this?
It is something to behold. I mean, that is something to behold. That is, my man. I love it, though. I love these stories. You can come back to them time and again, and they will entertain, but it's also further proof that, hey, look, they got a good handle on this thing. They're paying close attention to all involved in the gambling world. I still hear it. I still hear the naive take that an NFL player is going to throw a football game in order to win a bet. Really? An NFL football player making millions of dollars a year in order to win a bet is going to throw away a career to throw a football game. How much money do you think you would have to get to throw a football game? How much money could be won without drawing attention to yourself? It's insane. Like, it's not going to happen. Now, you'll get dumb guys who bet on the games, who get caught betting on games. It's already happened. But throwing games is a very different discussion.
Ask Kadarius Toney. I think he's a good candidate to ask how hard can he, because you know what? The nice cherry on top is you build the reputation that you don't catch passes. So that way, when you drop one, people are just mad at you for your inability. They don't say, well, that's strange. He catches everything. He just dropped that one. If you build the reputation, nobody's the wiser. That's how you cash in. So Toney would be the guy I would ask.
I bet they were after that early season loss when he had like 6 drops.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of those all-time bad days where you'd be like, look at my man out here. You got to be a little bit more suave than this. You can't drop as a professional receiver every single pass thrown your way.
If he was playing for Clemson and it was against Florida State, they'd be questioning his integrity because they did for Boyd in 2013.
Did they really?
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
remember that. They questioned his integrity?
They questioned if he was maybe trying to throw the game. Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, it's comical to think about. The idea of a professional wide receiver, like if you're or anybody who's making, $7, $8, $9 million a year or more, and like they get a call from a guy who's mobbed up. Hey, we're gonna need you to throw these games. Like, wait a minute, man. I'm rich as hell. Why? I don't need the $700,000 you're gonna give me. Maybe at best, it's all right. I'm good. Making a lot of money, man. Plus, they pay attention to stuff like this.
Phil, we've got a prop bet on number 12 that you're going to 3-putt. Can you handle that? Guys, I might do that without trying. So you know what? You're golden. Yeah.
No, guys do bet. Now, I'm not saying guys don't bet. Guys bet, and they get caught. But, yeah, lots of people probably have violated that rule. But throwing games is a different discussion. That's the one where I raise an eyebrow when I hear people say that. They're not throwing games. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
Your heating and air conditioning system doesn't check with you before it takes a break. That's why we're always ready to help. Any day, anytime, anywhere. And with our annual service agreement, there are no overtime charges. Ever. At Verno Heating and Air, we will always be there for you.
Verno Heating and Air Conditioning.
License CAC 1816186.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Man, I just got a text from my wife. She wants me to cook dinner and then snuggle on the couch next to a roaring fire.
So what's the problem, Dave? You already got the new grill, and you're a great cook.
I got one major problem. We don't have a fireplace.
Man, that's an easy fix. Just call Hearth and Patio. They got a lot of fireplaces that can help you for your romantic evenings. Wood, gas, electric, and a ton of different sizes, man. Call Hearth and Patio today, 850-727-4282, or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio. Ignite that spark in your life.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3 WVFT. Greta, Tallahassee.
The latest betting odds and line movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Kentucky Wildcats hosting the Florida Gators at Rupp Arena, where the Wildcats have gone 10-1 this season. UK, the 6.5-point favorite, 172.5 the total. The Gators are looking for their fourth straight win. Austin P laying 2 at Jacksonville, the total 140 at Swisher Gymnasium. North Florida and Lipscomb a pick 'em at UNF Arena, 157.5 the total. Baylor laying 3 at UCF. The SEC, Alabama, 6.5-point road favorites at the Georgia Bulldogs. The total 165 at the Stegman Coliseum. Orlando Magic today, a 5-point favorite at San Antonio. Football fans, score big without the burn. Play for free for a chance to win your share of $10,000 at TumsPropBites.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it.
And now get a Samsung Galaxy A14 included when you buy an extended Silver Unlimited plan. Find us at straighttalk.com. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. Online only, excludes taxes and fees.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's BABBEL.com.
Give your business a facelift with a modern, consistent, creative brand overhaul from Curiosity Marketing Group. These days, it's not enough for your business just to have a standard website or a Google listing to reach your customers. Your business needs to stand out with eye-popping branding, modern web development, and strong marketing. And it takes a team to pull it all together. Words and websites matter. At Curiosity, we make the most of yours. Find out more at curiositymg.com.
I used to fight almost on a daily basis working on my business website. I'm a pretty smart guy, but I could never get it to function the way I needed it to, and I was losing customers because of it. That's when I called Curiosity Marketing. They listened, they understood, we collaborated, and in the end, they delivered beyond my highest expectations. Now, I can barely keep up with the work. They say the future belongs to the curious, and now I'm excited about the future of my business.
Find out more at curiositymg.com.
Hello, I'm Dana Brooks.
And I'm Jimmy Basic of Basic Brooks Law Offices.
Traffic cameras are everywhere these days.
And Basic Brooks has partnered with RoadProof to get access to all their vast network of cameras.
This is a valuable tool to help us search for evidence that could help you if you were involved in an accident.
If you've been hurt in an accident, call Basic Brooks and we'll find out if the proof you need is out there.
Call Basic Brooks and we'll do everything we can to help you come back stronger.
Call us now at 850-777-7777.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3,
fired, 3 years probation. He gets fined $5,000. But as I said, it's a lifetime ban for my guy, basically. But the last part of that, and I just because it's too funny, I meant to get to it last segment and I didn't. The dude that he sent the text to, Hammer, after receiving the text, he tried to place a $100,000 wager on a college baseball game at BetMGM Sportsbook at the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. He walks in and tries to bet $100,000. And of course, the sportsbook was like, "No, man, we won't do over 15,000." And that seems a lot. Like, I don't think you could even, most places you can't get down 15,000 on a college baseball game. He then attempted to place additional wagers involving the April 28th Alabama LSU game. The sports staff declined those wagers, citing what they thought was suspicious activity. Yeah. The second my man walked in and tried to get down $100,000. Good times. That dude is dumb as a post.
I'd like to think that in the Great American Ballpark BetMGM casino that a disheveled Tom Brenneman was there. And he said,
"Oh, yeah.
That dog won't hunt, sir. I don't know why you're trying to do that. Maybe in San Francisco they'll let you try something like that. But not here at Great American Ballpark, sir."
And there's a drive by Castellanos. That's going to be a home run. It's now 6-4. That is still one of the great moments in broadcast history. I sincerely apologize. And there's a drive by Castellanos.
I've been a partner of Fox Sports for a long time. This may be my last broadcast. I've valued the partnership I've had with Fox Sports. The only thing that was missing was where was Brantley? Jeff, Cowboy.
Oh, Cowboy. Yeah.
Cowboy, what do you think?
I think you're fired. Yeah, that's $100,000. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and if you're the Alabama coach, that's the other thing, man. Okay, let's say you're twisted up in something. I mean, clearly my man was hemmed up in something. I don't know what's going on there. He's involved in drugs or something. I have no idea. But if you're making that much money and then you're trying to get down on a college baseball game by texting your buddy that tonight's starting pitcher isn't a go. Again, you got yourself caught up in something. I don't know. An ugly divorce, maybe it's not insidious. I don't know. But if you're going to do it, there's ways to do it and not get caught. Having a dude roll in with a duffel bag and try to bet $100,000 on a college baseball game ain't it. That's the number one way to get caught. It reminds me a little bit. This doesn't happen as much anymore, but I remember when Nate Newton had this happen, and it seemed like there was a string of guys that got in trouble for doing the one thing that would guarantee that you get caught transporting drugs in a car. And that would be driving at night with your lights off. Like that. If you remember that? He had his lights off and he got pulled over. It's like not having a proper license plate on your vehicle while transporting meth. Guys, we got to do the little things right in order to have big time success around here. If you're transporting 200 pounds of weed the way that Nate Newton was, you got to turn your lights on. You're just guaranteeing failure, guys. So remember, let's get the lights working out there. In fact, that's one of the first, after you turn the car on, let's turn the lights on, guys. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to give you a checklist from here on out.
I remember there was a Florida State player about 10, 15 years ago. I think I know who it is, but I don't want to say it incorrectly. And they got pulled over for, well, I mean, could you imagine you attach it to the wrong player? That'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, don't do that. Yes.
So, but they were pulled over because the tinting was too dark on their car. Now that's weak. That's weak sauce. You're going to get pulled over because the tint in your car is too dark. On the scale of that to not turning your headlights on, to what was it? Michael Beasley in Minnesota was driving 120 miles an hour, and the car had weed just flying. You're Cheech and Chong and you're Mario Andretti at the same time. Like, yeah. That's poor. But if they're gonna, they're going to get you for the tinting. Come on now. Let's be grown-ups here.
I have brought this up a million times. And I've talked about, like, I love those shows. You ever Locked Up Abroad? You watch any of those things? I love those shows. When people invariably get in trouble trying to run drugs from one country to another.
People locking their wives in a room?
Well played. Locked Up Abroad is a lot of fun to watch. And one of the reasons that it's fun to watch is they'll talk to the real person who ended up doing 19 years in Taiwan or something. And you're like, what the hell? So it's always, it's always some guy who doesn't think it through very clearly and then paid a very dear price. And he's looking back on the incident and they recreate it. And it's vivid. I mean, they do a good job. But every time they get to the part where it's the moment of truth, they're going, they're at the border. That was the last one I just watched. This guy was transporting, it was actually marijuana that he was transporting. And they had created an extra compartment underneath the car, right? And they dipped all the bags of weed, or maybe it was 40 kilos, I don't know, of cocaine or something, but they dipped the bags in oil so that the drug-sniffing dogs wouldn't be able to smell the weed or the coke or whatever the hell they were transporting. This guy was transporting. And they had a secret compartment. I thought, well, that's ingenious. And this is like the 80s, so all right. But he gets to the border, and he had been warned by the drug kingpin that had him smuggle the drugs, hey, the hardest part isn't going to be the border. It's going to be getting safely from here to the border, because I have rival gangs that will pull you over and kill you. The police are crooked. So if they pull you over, they'll probably shoot you in the head if they know you're a runner and they're going to take the drugs and sell it for themselves. Or, so like, if you can make it from here to the border, we're good. We're good. Because the Border Patrol doesn't really care. So just get there. And my man thinks he's scot-free, gets there. And then, of course, slowly but surely, he starts seeing the officers rolling on up, and he's looking in his rear view. And every time they recreate that, my hands get sweaty. I'm like, oh, man, that's going to be so uncomfortable, because they underestimate. A lot of the guys end up getting busted because they're sweating profusely, and they're like, their eyes are darting all around, like Jimbo being asked a question that he has to give an answer to, and he's going to lie. So his eyes just start darting everywhere. He could not do it. He couldn't do it. He had the worst tell of anybody I've ever seen. So and so mispractices. No, he didn't. I don't know. And you're like, Jesus, Jimbo, come on, you could be better. Just look at it. Come on, let's practice a little. But these guys never do, and they get caught, and they're all like nervous as hell. And then the cop wasn't even suspicious. He just asked like a normal question. How you doing? I'm fine. I'm doing just fine. Like, can you step out of the car, brother? We got some issues here. But they all get caught because they can't handle themselves. And it's hilarious every time. And that's the lesson of the thing. My man walks in with $100,000. No, I just feel strongly about college baseball. Really follow it closely. Get somebody that is going to bet $600, $400 at a time in 2 or 3 different casinos. Like, you can't walk in with $100,000 and not tip everybody off in the building that this isn't on the up and up.
It's Great American Ballpark. Like, what? It's not a Vegas casino. You're going to the ballpark? Like,
well, it's right there attached.
I know, but they've got like 2-for-1 hot dog specials on like a Thursday, and you're walking in with briefcases. Like, what is this, Atlantic City?
Oh, I love it. I love it. The defensive end that Charlie's referencing in the chat that wants to be a first-round pick from West Virginia, I want all of my players to want to be first-round picks. I think that we just watched a guy attempt to go that route as well, and perhaps successfully having navigated. So Jared Verse was his name, and I think that's going to happen. I would also say that, Fisk has made himself some money. A lot of guys from a lot of places have come to Florida State and made themselves some money. It is the number one thing that the coaching staff does, which is, I think, develop guys from smaller schools that they bring in and get them to play at an elite level and get them paid. And that's why I keep bringing up the draft right now, because that's the next big thing to look forward to. We have the trend in the portal which has remained consistent now, and the reputation has been made. But if you have a bunch of kids that were portal kids get drafted, you're going to guarantee that you continue to remain as one of the 2 or 3 kings of the portal in college football, because that kids notice that. Kids notice where the pros come from.
Well, and you take a look at any report yesterday. I was looking across different scouting services, because this is when you cross over from college media into pro media, and everybody's got a draft site. But there are a lot of people that attend that are reputable and brand new to the game, to the Senior Bowl in Mobile. And I know that there's both camps going on, but across the board yesterday, when you see top performers for the one team that the Florida State players are on, it's Johnny Wilson, it's Braden Fisk. Both of them had bang-up days yesterday, where you had dudes reporting that, like, Johnny's hands are immaculate. He hasn't dropped a thing. So clearly they hadn't watched him in college, but that means that in his workouts against the elite of college, he's snagging everything. You see his quicks.
The Georgia corner.
The Georgia corner, you see his quicks off the line of scrimmage. You see how that plays, some of the moves in the open field, the leverage, that looks great. And then Braden's quickness is what everybody was talking about. But there was one particular rep against an LSU guard who I'm sure was like, really? This guy again?
This guy again. I've seen enough of this dude.
So he gets around him and then hip tosses him as he's getting to the quarterback. It was beautiful. So both of them had huge days yesterday. That's going to make them a lot of money. The Senior Bowl can do that for you if you're a mid-round draft pick. You can make a lot of money in Mobile.
Yeah, it's important to go to that, and I was happy to see those guys succeed. These are, again, I've reiterated this a bunch. I've covered a lot of teams for Florida State over the years, and there have been teams that were good, teams that were bad, and everything in between. But this was one of the more likable teams that we've ever covered, that I've ever covered. Again, the guys were good guys, hard workers. They had it together. They were very professional. You know, they had united for this singular purpose. It's a shame they got shafted, but they are a group of guys that came from a lot of different places and really bonded and agreed to sacrifice for one another. And so when you see that play out all the time, then you go 13-0. Of course, it's exciting, but you want to see those guys have the success, because, again, this will be, I think, it's to me a signature draft for Mike Norvell. Like, this is going to be his big moment. When you have 8 to 12 dudes go in a draft, you're going to get talked about. That's going to stand out. People are going to say, well, you can see why Florida State went 13-0. They had, this many guys go in the draft, and many of the guys that are at the Senior Bowl, and I started the week by talking about who was I talking about? The corner.
Jerrion Jones.
Jerrion Jones, my bad. Yeah, he had a really, the thought was that he would have a breakout moment because of the speed, the length, the ability to shift directions, and as a slot corner, nickel corner, he became a guy that a lot of people were intrigued by. Well, those players got better when they were here. They all got better when they were here. So Mike is going to win on two fronts. He's going to produce a bunch of guys to the NFL, which just name recognition alone is a big deal, but he's going to get praise for how much better they were having, from the time they entered the program to the time they left it.
Yeah, so his first big draft prospect was Jermaine Johnson, because Jermaine, as you recall, that night of the draft had the liner of his suit. One side had Georgia, the other side had Florida State. And I do believe Mike made the trip up there to the draft for that night as well. But that was his first big prospect, but that's not the same thing as his first class. Like, this is where I totally agree. This is a signature class. You've had Jermaine or Kier or Jamie Robinson, but here it comes. Here's the wave. Here's one of the reasons that you were 13-0 last year was because of this kind of talent. But the funny part is when we were doing this exercise before the season started and we were getting to Florida State having 10 players or 12 players, we had some dudes projected to be going that stayed. Like, for example, Fentrell Cypress is one of those where you'd say, all right, based upon his PFF grade, he comes in here, he takes care of business, he's going to go. Like, straight away, he's gone, he's going to get drafted. Well, he stuck around, and who in his place fills that role? Like, Jerrion Jones would not have been one of the top 5 names we would suggest to say,
correct,
who is going to be a sleeper that gets drafted. Well, that might very well happen now. And if he gets drafted, and let's say, because Fabo made some waves as well, and I believe it's the East-West, if he gets drafted, man, you're an Akeem Dent away from being 11 or 12 players that are drafted in this year's NFL 3 days, across 3 days. And it's going to be spread pretty evenly, too. You'll have Jared in the first round, probably Keon in the first round. So you get a couple of guys on night 1, which is important because the kids are watching then. Night 2, You're going to have quite a few second and third round draft picks, and then you're going to be scattered about on Saturday as well. Like, this is a really, really good week that's upcoming. I'm excited to cover that again. We haven't had we've had the draft party, but we haven't talked about Florida State players in the draft in quite some time. But they're littered all about the 3 days.
By the way, as we go to break, one more note here. Thank you, Gordon. So would this mean that I'm trying to get away with something if I ask you, how should the body language look? He wrote, I work for CBP. That immediately I thought to myself, oh, okay. That's the border protection, Customs and Border Protection, I believe is what that stands for, if I remember correctly. And you catch them by their body language. You just got to be bold when you're transporting weed illegally, apparently. That's the tip that we got from Gordon in the chat. See, you never know what you're going to learn on the Jeff Cameron Show. 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Tired of achy joints? Dread the idea of surgery? You need to call QC Kinetics today. Hey, everybody, it's Greg Tish. Listen, the state of healthcare is always changing. The old ideas like steroids and surgery are no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain from arthritis or injury? Don't let that pain keep you from living your best life. QC Kinetics advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. This is a revolutionary approach that can give you long-term relief with no downtime. Make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility, reclaim your independence, walk and run, play and live without danger and trauma of surgery and without harmful drugs. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. Their number, 850-391-4280. That's 850-391-4280. 850-391-4280.
This is Jamie McClenney with Trek Financial in Tallahassee. Despite the highest global interest rates in almost 2 decades, inverted yield curves, conflicts in the Middle East, and 3 of the largest bank failures in U.S. history, equities and bond markets have posted stellar returns for 2023. The Dow Jones, the NASDAQ 100, and the Russell 2000 all reached new highs as markets rallied on the expectations of Fed pauses, Fed easing, and Fed bank bailouts. Markets are going to do what markets are going to do, but a clearly defined risk management protocol can help to mitigate large drawdowns in your retirement nest egg. If you're concerned where all this might be headed, call me at 850-900-5200 and let's talk about ways to mitigate the risk in your portfolio.
Make Jamie your first call for that second opinion. Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
If you've been waiting and waiting for the perfect time to buy your new house, you'll be waiting forever. This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and I have been a mortgage lender for over 20 years. And I can tell you that there is no such thing as perfect timing. So take the first step towards your new home and let me show you what that really looks like. Chances are very high that you'll be very surprised at what I can help you do. When rates go low, prices go high, and that home that you've been eyeballing could be gone. If you're wondering how the drop in interest rates is going to affect your payment, give me a call. I'll be more than happy to show you all of the options available to get you into your new home. And for every single loan that we close for a fellow Knoll, I will personally donate $250 per closing to the Battle's End. Let's do this together and let's keep climbing. Call me today at 954-369-6171. That's 954-369-6171. Or you can find me online at loansforknolls.com. That's loansforknolls.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 373031.
Social Kitchen is now open on Cary Forest Parkway near Ology Northside, Tallahassee's only premier market where you can receive the famed Snake River Farm steaks and premier meats. Social Kitchen also has chef-prepared meals and sides ready to serve in just under 20 minutes. Perfect for those very busy springtime weeks, weekends, you name it. Hosting some people at the house. Hey, Social Kitchen also has build-your-own charcuterie boards and catering. Stop in and visit Social Kitchen today or visit us online at socialkitchentlh.com. Social Kitchen TLH.com. We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network.
Sad to report that Mike Martin has passed away. And we certainly knew that this sad day was approaching when we got news not too long ago that he was in hospice care. My thoughts go out to his family and his friends, and certainly to everybody affected by the loss of Coach Martin, who was all-time winningest college baseball coach for starters, but that's not what's important. He was a very, very good man and a kind man, and somebody that I'm forever indebted to. He was good to me. So selfishly, I bring that up because having had the great fortune of covering him and talking to him a lot in my career, he was nothing but a class act all of the times that we ever spoke. And so certainly rest in peace to Mike Martin, and what a career it was, right? And you'll certainly hear a lot of people begin to talk about those numbers. And when you go back and look at them, they're gaudy. They're we know that unfortunately the national championship, the final game, eluded him, at least as a victor. But he accomplished everything else there was to accomplish in baseball. And so not just a great coach, but a great man, and somebody who did an awful lot, certainly, for Florida State University. So we send our condolences. I say we, those of us here on the Jeff Cameron Show, and anybody who works with me and had the good fortune of meeting 11, knowing 11, and getting to talk to him a little bit about baseball or anything else for that matter. He certainly was always welcoming. So we're attempting now. I think, I'm looking back at it. I'm thinking about the first time that I ever got a chance to talk with him. And there's some other guys that are in the media, of course. My buddy Eric Llewellyn, Corey Clark is another guy. We've all had the good fortune of talking to Mike Martin a whole bunch. And my favorite conversations with him were usually not about baseball, just life stories and interesting anecdotes. And I remember having the good fortune of talking to him after many series, and we would be talking baseball, and then the next minute we weren't talking baseball at all. We were talking about kids or grandkids or golf or something entirely different, and it was always fun. I think we're trying to track down there. You see on the screen, if you're watching the Jeff Cameron Show right now on Warchant TV, you see the release from FSU baseball. Today we mourn with the Martin family the passing of a wonderful husband, father, grandfather, and baseball coach. Rest in peace, 11. That was tweeted out moments ago by FSU baseball. That sums it up nicely. I think we're efforting to bring in somebody here. I don't know, Tom, are we going to go with
we are efforting to bring in Eric Llewellyn, play-by-play voice for Florida State for years and years. We're going to lock him down on the phone. It's going to be a phone interview, but Eric is communicating back with me right now, so we will have him on. And man, among the people that knew Mike Martin in the last 15 years, 20 years, Eric Llewellyn is right at the top of that list, making a lot of road trips with him. I can remember working in the booth back at the old radio station for weekday and weekend baseball games, where Eric Llewellyn and Tom Block shared the duties as the play-by-play voice, and Eric took over as the full-time voice. His thoughts are going to be valuable on a day like today, where it's a tough day to be a Florida State Seminole.
He's here with us right now. In fact, we were just texting as well. And Eric, sad to talk to you under these circumstances, but buddy, I've worked with you and known you for a very long time. And in all those years, we certainly have a lot of remembrances of one Mike Martin, you more so than probably anybody we could reach out to today, given your role as play-by-play announcer. And I don't know where you want to start, buddy, other than, hey, I hope you're hanging in there. I know how much you loved Mike Martin.
Yeah, it feels like we've had a lot of time to prepare for this, but it doesn't make it any easier when you hear about it.
It does not. If I don't, I just got done saying that my memories of him have less to do with baseball. And obviously we know what a great baseball coach he was, and the numbers speak for themselves there. And we're going to hear a lot about those numbers and read a lot about those numbers throughout the week, I'm sure, as we discuss the legacy of Mike Martin at Florida State and all of his successes. But I think most people who know him tend not to talk about the baseball aspect of it. What is your, I guess, fondest memory, if you would, or where you would like to start in assessing who Mike Martin was?
Well, it's funny. Some of those, when you start thinking about fond memories, it was, obviously we talked Florida State baseball a lot, on the record, off the record, all of those things, but there were a lot of just baseball conversations in there, and conversations that had nothing to do with Florida State, and remembering, major leaguers, guys that I grew up watching that were in that same age group as him, and hearing stories about those guys and guys that I watched whose paths he'd run across, and remembering things like that, and all of those talks, that's what I'll remember most about him. There were occasions where I would ride home with him after road games, and if he was in a good mood, he'd turn on the music and sing along with various random songs that would come on, and you'd be like, how does Coach Martin know the words to that song? It's stuff like that really, the more human side and not the coach side of it. That's the kind of stuff that really will always stick out to me.
I remember one time talking with him after a particularly feisty series with Miami, in which both benches nearly cleared and there were a lot of contentious moments. And he was so passionate as we were talking about it, and we were off the record. This is the old 1270 days, Eric. And I was on the phone with him trying to prep to get him on for that afternoon. And we're going back and forth, and we're talking about this and talking about that. And I'm asking him questions. And then somehow, some way, it turned into another question about a swing. And that turned into a question about golf. And the next thing I knew, we were talking about PGA Tour events and certain aspects of golf, which would lead you down another path, which you'd get to see another side of the man. And those were the fun moments like you're describing.
Yeah. Everybody who ever played for the man can do an impression of him. And he had just the distinct way that he spoke. You never mistook his voice for somebody else's voice. You could hear a video message that was being played, not see it, and you knew immediately it was 11.
Mm-hmm.
And even on a more personal level, he had, people call me Eric, people call me Lulu. He had a way of
Lou.
Yeah, exactly that. And it was a greeting. It was both a greeting and a goodbye that he would use it. And but yeah, just the way he would say that, and I can still hear that in my head right now, and it's that's something.
It's very distinctive, and it'll be etched there for everybody. The ability to recall that, you're right, and how many times, I would like to point out that 11 always handled with great class and dignity the moments in which they were defeated.
Yeah.
And for a man who was as fiercely competitive as he was, we know that the national championship eluded him. It was the only thing that eluded him. He won everything else there was to win. And we know how desperately he wanted to win it. But in the moments that he didn't, in the moments that the season ended, I never once caught a hint or a whiff of pettiness or bitterness. He was always the first to point out what the other team did well in order to win. and he didn't make excuses for it. And so when we talk about a class act, we're talking about on and off the field.
Yeah. And he was, he was every bit the person that you saw in his public appearance, in his public outings, in the public facing moments. He was that privately too. I mean, there wasn't a turn it off, turn it on kind of thing. That was just 11. That's who he was. And, I used to have to grab him after games, after losses, and try to get him recorded, a minute's worth of stuff. And he never, he nenever made that uncomfortable to do, which, that's truly a gift that he had. And, he's a man of, he just, man, he was 11. I don't have a better way of describing him.
There's a moment that I caught on video, and others did too, and I will always remember this, and it makes me smile when I go back and watch it. You know how these days all of our devices remind us of anniversaries of things, and a picture will pop up. Well, the Road Series at LSU to go to the College World Series, the regional, and going and watching that and seeing them win and being there for the extra innings hit and standing behind home plate. I was filming when that happened. And there is this wonderful, wonderful moment that I will always choose to remember. And I'm glad I have it on videotape, and I'll go back and watch it today. They get the winning single, runner slides home safe. They win. The celebration pours out of the dugout. And Mike Martin Jr. gets out of the dugout and then stops himself and turns around to walk back and shake his dad's hand. Yeah. It's a beautiful moment, and it's this. It could give you chills when you watch it. It's like he caught himself, and he wanted to go say good job to Dad and share that together. And it's the way I want to choose to remember when I think back on these moments of 11. Like that one there between father-son was outstanding. And you probably have a countless number of those.
Yeah, I remember one thing distinctly: the respect that the 2019 team showed to him, the final home game when they played a video message, a video tribute to 11, and the entire team lining up on the first baseline to watch it together, shoulder to shoulder, side by side, and watching that tribute to 11, his last time at Hauser. And that was something. I remember the end of that game getting choked up over, just the details of that being the last time that he was going to coach a game at Hauser. And then, man, I just, and I'm off the air at this time. It was a break or something. I don't remember what was going on, but when they lined up and did that, man, I'd lost it. And the team was on the foul line. The coaches were all shoulder to shoulder right behind the team, and everything about it was just absolute love and respect for that man. And I think that was a great encapsulation of how those guys all felt about him.
Well, I know it's a difficult day, Eric, and I appreciate you making the time to come on here and talk with me about 11. I thought of you first, actually. So again, thanks for doing this, buddy. And it was great to hear you. I'm sorry the circumstances are what they are, but we needed to hear your insight. So be well, sir.
All right, man. Thanks.
Right, take care. That's Eric Llewellyn, play-by-play man, radio voice of Florida State baseball. It's baseball oddly marks the time with when it comes to when I think about radio, when I think about my career or people I've worked with, and that is because my first boss in radio was Lee Bowen, who was the play-by-play voice for Florida State baseball. And the reason I bring that up is that when I first got hired to do this job, he and I would talk about Florida State baseball for hours and hours, and what would have to happen for us to get out there to Omaha and win it. What the good, the bad, and everything in between, and we would debate it. And I remember that first year that I was at Clear Channel, and he told me that morning, hey, we go tomorrow to go see 11. And I had never interviewed him, and I had never talked to him, and I was nervous. And I drove over with Lee, and we were going to talk about the upcoming season. And 11 was going to hold court for us, and he was going to talk to us about who was at what position, and he was going to give us a rundown of the team. And when I walked in the room, he was kind of a larger-than-life guy, and I was nervous, very nervous, and he put me at ease instantly and welcomed me to the beat and said, I'll have to listen. And I said, well, I'll have to have you on. I can't wait. And he was class. It was awesome. And we talked baseball, me, Lee Bowen, and Mike Martin for over an hour that morning. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to give us an hour, but he did. And it was awesome. And there are a ton of people who don't work in media, who were just fans of the team, of the game, of his, who he did that with as well. And he would go and hang out and just talk with you. If he had the time, he would make it, and he would listen to you, and he'd look right at you, and you knew he was engaged. We have to take a quick break. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Local news now.
Tallahassee Fire Department responded to 2 separate house fires just 2 hours and 45 minutes from each other on Wednesday. The 2 fires happened less than a mile from each other. A little after 9:50 a.m., the fire department was dispatched into the 800 block of Dunn Street. Crews quickly extinguished the fire, searched the home, and determined that the building was clear. Around 12:36 p.m., units went to another fire located in the 1400 block of North Duval Street. All occupants were out of the house before firefighters arrived, but one occupant was checked on scene for minor burns. The cause of the fire appeared to be electrical. Leon County received a grant to update tree inventory of the historic Canopy roads. The county matched the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services funding with an additional $25,000, totaling up to $50,000. The project is set to manage the county's 58 miles of Canopy roads. It also supports development and enhancement of public tree assessments. The last inventory was conducted in 2014. This is Rachel Anay with your Roll Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Highs level off around 66 this afternoon under partly cloudy skies, winds out of the south 5 to 10 miles per hour. 45 tonight, cloudy. Highs level off around 69 tomorrow, lots of sunshine. Low 70s Saturday, cooler Sunday with highs in the mid 60s and thunderstorms. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently 63.
Excellence defines us, so we'll never let orthopedic pain and injury define you. TOC is a physician-led team of fellowship-trained specialists providing the highest level of orthopedic care in the region. With 12 centers of excellence and TOC Now urgent care clinics, our patients access affordable expert care fast. TOC, only experts. Schedule an appointment at teamtoc.com.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All of these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of, that nobody would know, and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com.
That said, we're talking about Jameis Winston. And if we had, if we were at the old studio, we had all those sound bites. 11 was a walking sound bite. That guy, you could usually, if you wanted to, you could any press conference after any series, after any regular season, midweek, didn't matter. You know, you could get a sound bite out of 11. And some of those that we used over the years, I'm very partial to. We I was just thinking about the ones we've used over the years. Yeah, I got a funny story. Matt Millar, my old producer and still dear friend, he and I were laughing so hard about Lee Bowen having to say to Mike Martin something about J.D. Cockcroft, the pitcher for Miami, and the way he put the emphasis at a certain part on the last name. I almost envisioned 11 trying to keep from laughing. We were Matt and I, oi, and we kept thinking about that over and over again with Martin's draw. That North Carolina draw was great, and I wish we would have had that soundbite. I'm smiling more than I am. I'm smiling more than I am sad, and that, what a life and an amazing accomplishments and an amazing family. So you can't ask for anything more. It's obviously sad that he's passed, but I've got a lot of very fond memories of conversations, sound bites, and the like. Good times.
I can remember that we're talking about Jameis Winston interview. It might have been Mark Schwartz. I forget who the interviewer was, but it was happening live on SportsCenter. We were at the 4-letter radio station at that time, and as it was in the morning, and as it happened, you yelled out, get that audio right now, because it was perfect. It was exactly how we all felt about Jameis, the athlete at that point. Jameis
Winston.
I mean, yeah. So what? We're down 10 at the break in 2014. We're talking about Jameis Winston. There was a reverence in his voice that we all kind of shared for the ability that Jameis had. And I can recall one of my fondest memories is Corey Dowler, who covered Florida State baseball forever and a day. He and I were covering.
He was good at it too.
He was on the same site. We were covering Florida State for I think 2 seasons. And one of the days he went down and he'd shoot photos, and he said, "Come on down and join me in the camera well. You won't believe how different it sounds during a ball game for a little bit." Because 11 during the ball game was, he would make the paint peel off the walls if things weren't going his way. Mm-hmm. Or he felt like, he was getting squeezed a little bit on a few calls. So the fiery and intense manager for the 9 innings was one dude that I didn't know about until I got down there into the camera well. And his players can speak to that better than I ever could. But then anytime, win or lose, you get into the first base dugout, which is where all those interviews took place for those years. And he was the best, simply the best. And I can think of no better Noel, because as I've often said, during the beginning of baseball season, there's crossover with basketball. So a lot of times we'd be at the Civic Center for a game. We pop over, catch the final 5-6 innings, and he'd be like, how'd we do? Because the internet wasn't in his dugout. He didn't have the information in his dugout. How'd we do? And win or lose, if it was win, the interview would start in about 10 seconds. He's like, okay, let's go. And if it's lost, he'd be like, how?
How? He wanted to know what happened. Yeah.
What happened? What happened? And you'd have to explain. And then he needed a second to be mad about that. And then he'd begin the interview. It just, he was so unique. He was in all of the things. 15 years now of covering Florida State, Mike Martin was singular, and he's unique. And my heart hurts for his family, all of his family. I'm sorry for the loss.
Yeah, I've had the good fortune certainly of meeting them and knowing them, and I agree with you. I don't know if I ever shared this, but it's certainly appropriate to do so now. Tom, you recall just how, because that's where you started as an intern, the budget, if you will, for 1270 wasn't exactly robust.
No,
I don't even know that I could call it a budget. We didn't have a budget. There were $0 in our budget. When we would walk in the parade, they would, you had handmade signs that like Eric and I drew, that's or Matt Millar or whatever. Why do I bring this up? Well, here's an act of kindness from Mike Martin. I'm passionate about Florida State baseball. I love Florida State baseball and opinionated about Florida State baseball. And I've ripped them when they've been bad and loved on them when they've been good and defended them when they needed defending and everything in between. But they made it to Omaha. They had won the Super Regional, and I wanted to go to Omaha, and I wasn't making a lot of money. This is early in my career, and there certainly was no budget. And Mike Martin was able to ensure that I could get out to Omaha. and was responsible for me being able to get out to Omaha. And I'll obviously never forget that. I went out there, and what an experience. That was the first time I'd ever gone to Omaha. I've only been twice. But he got me out there, and when he found out I wasn't going to be able to go, or that they couldn't afford to let us go, he pitched in. That's pretty amazing, and very cool because we weren't golfing buddies or something. I was just a guy that talked about the team.
I made the roadie down to Gainesville a few times for those games, and I know that Miami had its own special wrinkles, and there's some great stories about what went on behind the scenes with Miami.
Mm-hmm.
But he hated Florida, and I loved him for that. I loved him so much for that. There was one game where we ended up losing, but I remember Justin Gonzalez hit one basically into the O'Connell Center. It was just a bomb, and the place went silent. Then it came back to life again. They end up winning, and he does the interview down the right field line, and he starts with, "Had a very good crowd here tonight. Seems like that's about the only time that there is a good crowd is when we come to town. Anyway, let's start." Any little thing, that kind of petty that's in all of us with our rivals, man, he had that. And Link Jarrett is a Nole, so that helps. But there's something about the way Mike Martin was a Florida.
He hated Florida, yeah.
But it's just all those things. He was so much like us. He was so much like us, and he sat in that position. Not to compare him to any of the other coaches. I'm not trying to do that. But I don't know that any of the other legends, because we've had a lot of long tenure coaches here, have felt the way about being a Nole, like even down to the petty stuff like that. Mike Martin did
here, yeah, and that'll do it. But I would also point out, to echo your sentiment or your observation, that was real. He wouldn't get gas in Gainesville. He didn't want to add to their economy. He legitimately would not get gas in Gainesville. Like, well, we're gonna have to make it out of here. We're not getting gas here. That's so hilarious. That still makes me laugh. That's fantastic.
Well, and there's a story, you know it better than me because you told me, so it's third hand. But apparently the night that Jameis won the Heisman, he was up there in New York. And
I know Mike Martin Jr. was, and I think Mike Martin Sr. was, yes.
Hanging with Spurrier, which they're the perfect opposites of each other, the perfect polar opposites. Yeah. Mike was classier, don't get me wrong. Mike was a hell of a lot classier. But you talk about like any little advantage I can have over my rival or anything I can dig them for. That's who 11 was. And obviously he was somebody who sent how many players to how many professional organizations who made untold millions of dollars. Like, it just, wow. What a life and what a career. What a Nole.
He was a 2-time Baseball America Coach of the Year, a 6-time Metro Conference Coach of the Year, a 7-time ACC Coach of the Year, a 9-time ACC regular season champion. Those years, 96, 98, 99, 01, 02, 03, 07, 09, and 2012. 4-time Metro regular season champion, 86, 89, 90, 91. 8-time ACC tournament champion. That's 95, 97, 02, 04, 10, 15, 17, and 18. 11-time Metro tournament champion. His overall record, 2,029 wins to just 736 losses and 4 ties. Yeah. And of course, he played here and was an assistant here before he was the head coach. And for those of you that go way back, you remember that he was a basketball coach at Godby as well as Tallahassee Community College. So he was a sports guy through and through and a wonderful athlete. So, those numbers don't mean as much as the man, but they're impressive. And think about the guys that he coached. You mentioned it, Golden Spikes Award winners. And, then you throw in the likes of, J.D. Drew, Doug Minkiewicz, Paul Wilson, Link Jarrett, Buster Posey. We could go on and on and on. John Ford Griffin, just so many. To name a few there, they legends of the game, and many of whom went on to have an incredible career. And back in 18 is when he surpassed Augie Garrido for most wins ever in the college game. And he will be remembered fondly by all who ever met him or barely knew him, even in the slightest. We say today on the Jeff Cameron Show and throughout Seminole Nation, I'm sure, rest in peace, Mike Martin.
Director Matthew had a beautiful thought that as we sign off in the next couple of minutes, that for the radio audience especially, there will be 11 seconds of silence before the show ends today. out of respect for Mike Martin. There'll be more. I know that our own Corey Clark will want to weigh in on this, and perhaps you and Corey and Lulu and Chip Baker and some other Florida State legends can speak on the legacy of Mike Martin.
Yeah, hoping to do that. We're going to observe those 11 seconds right now, in fact. So everybody knows, Eddie, that you